Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Well, my first guest this morning is a young, ambitious Wexford man who's planning to extend the strawberry season to all year round and promoting Wexford globally in the process. Mark Kavanagh from Wexbury is about to launch his strawberry infused vodka in SuperValue stores across County Wexford in the coming weeks. But Mark, your entrepreneurial journey actually began at the tender age of 13.
Yeah, I suppose I started, some of your listeners might remember me years ago. I was on the Inniscorthy to Clonroach Road and I set up my own business selling strawberries. And it was a very modest setup at the time. It was an old tool trailer belonging to my father and a couple of hand-drawn signs on anything that I could find that got me going. And it was one of my first signs, which was support the small man, which again, it was Mark's Market and I was Mark who was running it, but no one ever knew it was that. It was always the small man, even though I would have been 6 foot at the time. And it was genuinely, I started, I hadn't a clue what I was doing. All I knew was that I was going to give it its best shot. And as a result of just the local people supporting me, it built and it brought me to where we are today.
Yeah, it sure did. And Mark, of course, it was those cheeky road signs that showed you the importance of marketing and acting as an inspiration to pursue it further.
Yes, well, look, again, the first year was the support the small man, and that went down so well. We'd made enough money to get a new trailer, and when we kind of had a bit of momentum, we were thinking we could come up with a few more signs. And between myself and my father, Tom Kavanagh, we sat down and we went through options, and what came out of that was there was 100% orgasmic Wexford berries, which went viral back then, and only popped up online during the week again. It just went so big, it was everywhere. I couldn't believe it. And then there was bits and bobs like, the whole fruit, and nothing but the fruit, or I had bus tours welcome, like anything I could do to get business cards, you know yourself.
Of course. And then, Mark, you went on and you took marketing very seriously because you're just about finishing a master's in the Michael Smurfit School of Business.
Yeah, I consider myself very lucky now, Carol. I did my degree in NCI doing marketing practice as a result of the bit of success I had from the signs on the side of the road. And it was there then, I suppose, that we were told basically that the college was closing a couple of weeks before we were due to finish because of COVID. And between chatting to a few lecturers, we were discussing what way it was all going to pan out, and they were saying, well, sure, economic downturn. And between that and a few bits of conversations, I had seen that, look, the economy is going to slow down. I'm going to be a marketing graduate. Is this going to work out? And in the midst of that, between an hour between COVID hitting and college closing, I had Googled businesses to thrive during recession. And what came out of that was tobacco, chocolate and alcohol. And then I thought back that years ago when I was on the strawberry stalls, I used to chop up, that had an old punnet or two left over at the end of the day. I'd always, you make jam out of them or freeze them for smoothies. But sure, next thing the mother's getting onto because there's no freezer space. There's so much berries for smoothies lying around that you never get around to using them. So I ended up putting them into a bit of vodka and sugar. And again, I hadn't a clue what I was doing, but it made a lovely product in the space of about 2 to 3 months. And at the time, look, it went down really well. We still never thought of commercialising it until literally an hour after me walking out of college and making that Google search. I thought, geez, maybe I could go back and commercialise that.
It's been an incredibly steep learning curve for you about the spirits industry over the past 12 months. But what has surprised you more than anything else on that journey?
That's a very good question, Carol. It was such a learning curve, but it was having the guidance was really the big thing. And it was just, things take a long time to come to fruition between getting branding done right and getting your product finalised. They're all really easy things to mess up, Carol. And it was just so, looking back on it, they were the things that were worth the time, because you're going to be looking at it for so long, you might as well get it done right the first minute instead of trying to redo things and start over and mess around like that. So at the moment, I have some of the best marketing people in the country around me, whether it's Tara O'Rourke, who is only after leaving Coke Marketing, head of Coke Marketing for however many years. I have Rob O'Leary from Buffer's Alley, who's the head of digital marketing for AIB and is now working over in England. He's given us huge help at the moment. And I just wanted to take the opportunity when I had the chance to basically just thank the Wexford Food family. I've been a member of theirs now for the last 6 months, and they've been extremely supportive of me. They're a fantastic network of food producers all around Wexford and the southeast, and I'm very lucky to be a part of it. And in all my lectures in UCD.
And Mark, you got a great breakthrough there recently by securing a listing with a major supermarket chain in Ireland. How did this listing first come about, and when can our listeners expect to see it hit the shelves?
So our listing, we had originally applied to the SuperValue Food Academy about 8 months ago now, and there was a mountain of people went for it, and there was, like, as you know yourself, the gin market is just so saturated at the moment. But there was no vodkas actually applying for it. So they loved the concept, loved the Wexford Strawberry history and where I came from with it. But we got through it, graduated, and now they have given us a list of 8 SuperValue stores in Wexford. So most of the SuperValue stores in Wexford should be stocking us within the next couple of weeks.
In terms of the growth strategy, are you going to be focusing on supermarkets in each of the markets, or are you going to be expanding out into the food service area as well?
So that's an excellent question. That's the kind of ones my lecturers will be asking me, actually. So from a strategy point of view at the moment, even though the on-trade is opening back up again and people will be moving from home drinking towards bars, people's habits still haven't changed. It'll take a while to change. So we'll be focusing a lot on off-trade, whether it's direct-to-consumer through our website, which will be launching in the next month, or whether it's through SuperValue, because still a lot of people outside having barbecues, going to parties or visiting somewhere or getting a present. That's where our main market's going to be for the first while. And then once people really get out and going again and numbers are allowed to accumulate, that's when we're going to be focusing on promotions and on-trade.
And Mark, what are your plans in relation to expanding the product range over the years ahead? Of course, it's an Irish distilled vodka infused with strawberry today, but is that going to be an Irish distilled vodka infused by raspberries, blackberries, apples in the future?
Yes, so at the moment we are after getting the go-ahead to launch our Wexford Strawberry and Raspberry vodka with SuperValue. And at the moment we are currently just after developing actually our blackberry vodka as well. But I'd actually just like to stress that we keep using the term vodka. It is Irish farm distilled vodka with Wexford strawberries, raspberries and blackberries. But we're actually operating we're a spirit drink, Carol. So what that means is that we're 30% as opposed to the traditional 40% that you'd see in a standard vodka, which means, long story short, that you will be able to pour this out straight into a glass of some fresh Wexford berries with a mixer of choice or in a cocktail. So traditionally people wouldn't be into the idea of drinking vodka straight, but again, at 30%, this is a really enjoyable drink to drink straight.
I want to talk to you about funding next. So we've seen lots of alcohol-based businesses grow internationally out of Ireland in recent years. It's taken a lot of finance for them to get where they wanted to go. What are your plans in terms of raising finance over the coming years to be able to reach those goals that you've set for the business?
Yes, it's definitely one of the biggest prohibitors of getting into the business where I'm at now. And again, I'm very lucky in the sense that I have some fantastic investors on board at the moment. Industry professionals, you just can't buy. And again, to have them on the far end of the phone whenever something's up or something needs to get sorted is actually the real value of a person being involved as opposed to just their money. But again, money does matter, and we have our first round of investment secured. We're good to get going. Again, angel investment is something we've looked at as regards to possibility. So again, if your listeners could buy shares in the future, we never know how it'll work out. But even with the likes of what we'd be hoping to do is to either get local enterprise or leader funding behind us, and like that will cover 50% of our hardware upgrades. So whether it's a bottling plant or getting our own distillery, possibly, it makes it all very doable. And then I suppose, it's just money depends on how quickly we want to do that. So again, it's lovely having all these ideas of bottling plants and distilleries of our own, but it's you have to sell one bottle first, Kat, and see how it goes. And if the demand is strong enough, we can always look into that possibility, and depending on how quickly it grows as well. Yeah. And
finally, Mark, if we were to look 5 years out from here, what stage would you like the business to be at that point?
So everything again revolves around export. We're aiming to be exporting within the next 3 years. Again, need to get established in Ireland first, but we have a lot of contacts and a lot of people around the business now that have ways of getting drinks out of the country. Again, the Irish provenance will sell it. There's anyone could put an Irish label or some sort of an Irish name across the bottle and dish it out. But what we're trying to sell is the authenticity. We believe that there is a serious market for it. There's growth identified. The major growth for Irish alcoholic drinks is like 1 billion in exports, but 40% of that goes straight to the States. And then next is the UK and South Africa, believe it or not. So it's especially for flavored spirits, it's a niche end of the market, but it's actually what's driving vodka growth. Because it's still the largest category of alcohol in the world is vodka, but it's been stagnant because of the huge growth of the like gin or rum or Irish whiskey is booming. But now flavoured is where the market is going to be, where we can see.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Mark Kavanagh from Wexbury, and I've no doubt that his Wexford Strawberry infused vodka will be a sweet success across the globe.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
South